have a video with someone very interesting. And today we have Andy Yaffee, which I believe your title is National Sales Rep. Is that correct, Andy?
Director, National Sales Director.
National Sales Director. Well, tell us a little bit about how you came into that role. How long have you been with Micallef? What did you do before then?
So I've been in the cigar industry now for about 7 years, believe it or not. Got my start with La Flor Dominicana in the Texas market, did that for about 5. Then I relocated with my wife to Nashville. So I had to leave La Flor Dominicana, did a brief stint with Nat Sherman, and then after Nat Sherman, latched on with Micallef January of 2019. So been with Micallef now for going on 18 months, like a year and a half. Was hired on to manage the Southeast region, which included Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, Southern Ohio, and then I also was doing Arizona, which a lot of people are like, oh, you went out to Arizona too? That's crazy. The main reason with Arizona is because I had experience with the Arizona market, and there's so much opportunity out there in the cigar market, so they wanted me to go out there and rekindle my relationships with the Micallef brand. So did that, and then at the beginning of this year was offered to be elevated to National Sales Director. And it's funny, my boss, Dan Thompson, the president of Micallef Cigars, he was big on putting the director in there. He's like, I want you to be the director, not the manager.
I like it, man.
The director. And I'm like, okay, I'll run with that.
Sounds good too, man. So let me ask you this. I mean, let's get into a little bit about you. How long have you been married, Andy?
So I've been married 7 years.
Okay, so right when you got into the cigar business.
Yeah, we got married about 4 months prior, I believe, to starting in the cigar industry. So we'll be hitting 8 years this October.
Congratulations.
My lovely wife, thank you. My lovely wife, Renee Yaffee, and I have actually been pretty much together since I was 18. So we've only been married 7 years, but we've been together for close to 17.
Oh, wow.
We took a year off. We took a year off in there somewhere. But we met each other at my first job, which was at Publix grocery stores in Florida. She was a cashier. I was a stock clerk. And we just kind of hit it off from there and got together. And she's followed me all around the country wherever I've gone.
Yeah, I was asking that because I know in the cigar industry, where you're living or where you're going is not always, what you had planned. So you got to have somebody who is with you for whatever comes. And so, I mean, you guys have fixed to come up on 8 years, so you're hitting it stride. Now, do you guys have children?
No children, just fur babies.
How many fur babies do you have?
Well, we always pretty much had 2 dogs and 2 cats. However, one of our dogs passed early this year. He had a bad back, and we had to put him down, unfortunately. So she wants another dog. We kind of have a little cute little bet going on right now that I said you can't get a dog until she, unfortunately with the COVID nonsense, she got laid off from her job. And I said, as soon as you get a new job, you can get a new dog. So I'm kind of holding that over her head, kind of unfairly, I guess. But it's worked out. But yeah, two dogs, 2 cats has always been kind of our mantra. But currently 1 dog and 2 cats.
Well, I can't believe that Dan Thompson didn't force one of his mutts on you.
Oh, he's tried, but I warned him. I told Dan that he wanted to send. So the dog that we put down was a dachshund, and Dan Thompson has a bunch of dachshunds. I think he bred some of them somewhere. He's got like 3 or 4, if not more. And he wants to send my wife pictures of his dachshunds because the dachshund, my wife loved having a dachshund, and our current dog now is not a dachshund. So I told him, I'm like, no, Dan, no pictures to her, because then I will, that'll just give her ammunition and I will hear about it continuously until she gets, a new job, and then we can get her that another dachshund to replace the one that we unfortunately lost. But yeah, he's tried.
Yeah, he's tried to get me to take a dog. He's tried to get my co-host to take a dog. It's like when he had like 7 or 8 dogs. So I was not a taker. I have a Dachshund as well. I have a wired-haired Dachshund that's piebald. You know what piebald is?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, so most Dachshunds are black with brown spots. Well, piebald is white with brown spots. Everywhere they're white, they normally should have been black, but some freak of nature happens and they come out that way. So
yeah, our dachshund just had dark brown hair. He was full one color, short haired. Unfortunately, he hurt his back about 4 or 5 years ago. He hurt his back, and we got him surgery to get it fixed. But I told my wife, I'm like, it wasn't cheap to do the surgery. I was like, if he ever does that again, we can't really do that again.
Right.
And unfortunately, this past summer, he started showing signs of slowing down. And early this year, it came to a complete halt. So unfortunately, we had to put him down.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because those particular dogs, Dachshunds, do have a hereditary thing with their backs. And a big part of it, my daughter's always like, don't let him jump out of the sofa or don't let him jump down from wherever because it hurts their backs. But anyway, So tell us a little bit about Andy Yaffee before marriage. What?
Andy Yaffee, huh?
I'm sorry, I said Yaffee. Sorry about that. So, did you play
it's the caffeine, Rob?
I know, I've had a lot. Did you play sports in high school?
I didn't play my freshman year. I played on the basketball team, but that was it. I didn't play sports in high school. I was in a situation where my parents were like, just go to work. So I got a job my sophomore year of high school. I started working at Publix. So I didn't play sports. Growing up, I was a big basketball guy. I played, intramural leagues, but I would guess I was never good enough to get anywhere, really deep with it. But I was more of a basketball guy. I played a little bit of football here and there, socially more than anything. Those were my 2 main sports I enjoyed growing up. Was never a big baseball guy. Was never a big hockey guy. It was basketball and football. But
now, where did you grow up?
Orlando, Florida.
Okay, well, you said hockey, so I was like, I didn't even know they had hockey down there for your age group.
Not really. I mean, I think it was available more on the roller hockey side of things. Even though Orlando did have an intramural, or not an intramural, had what do they call, like a AAA hockey team, I guess is for lack of a better word, minor league hockey team. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, it wasn't a big culture down there. But I grew up in Orlando, specifically a town about an hour north of Orlando, 45 minutes north of Orlando, called Winter Springs. Grew up there, graduated from Winter Springs High School, and then went on to attend University of Central Florida, where I graduated from UCF in 2007 with a hospitality management degree. So I went straight into hotel management was my track. When you go to hospitality management school, you kind of choose a track. You choose restaurants or hotels or theme parks was another one. They even have country club management tracks as well. I chose the hotel track and went right out of college to work for Hilton. And Hilton is kind of what created my nomadic moving around before I got into cigars. I chased in the hospitality industry. You got to really, especially hotels, if you want to move up quick, you need to be relocatable. So I chased a promotion that took me down to Miami for a couple years. I chased a promotion that took me from Miami to Nashville. And then I chased a promotion that took me from Nashville to Fort Worth. More specifically, if you're familiar with the Fossil Creek area,
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
Homewood Suites there next to the good old Redneck Heaven. I, moved my way up through there, was the general manager there before I left. So that's what really moved me around. I spent 10 years working for Hilton in those various places before I made the jump into the cigar industry.
Okay. Well, that kind of prepared you for the moving around. I mean, going to all those different locations, that's crazy, man. That's kind of how, the industry that I work in is. If you want to move up, you got to be prepared to move. And if you don't want to move, then you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You could sit there and be patient all you want, but opportunities knocked. Now, I was a little bit picky in where I went. I mean, I probably could have moved up even quicker if I wanted to live in, northern Minnesota or something, but we wanted desirable places to live when I
Right.
made those decisions.
So how did you come in contact with, let's jump ahead, with Micallef? How did that come into play?
So when I was working for La Flor Dominicana in the Texas market, Silverleaf in Fort Worth was one of our really good accounts, and we would do several events there. And Al Micallef, that's his home lounge. He's there pretty much almost every day when it's not COVID season. And I ran into him several times at the events. We created some sort of, not an extremely close relationship, but I mean, we talked. He knew who I was. He respected, what I was doing for LFD. At that time, he was creating his own cigar company. So I, saw a little bit of the behind the scenes and the upbringing of his brand just by frequenting Silverleaf. But I mean, nothing really articulated at that point. When I left La Flor Dominicana to go to Nashville, they really weren't in the market for in-house sales reps at the time. They had more of a broker system. I think they had one in-house person in the Texas market already when I left. So I went ahead and, when I left LFD, moved to Nashville, started working for Nat Sherman. Unfortunately, I left Nat Sherman about 6 or 7 months into it, and I started being pretty much recruited by a couple different companies. However, at the time, the one that interested me the most was Micallef, and I really enjoyed the time that I had with Al. I respected his business acumen. I thought that he could go somewhere with these cigars. I had had some of his smokes, and I enjoyed them. And I was recruited by them, and I said, you know what, this would be really fun because I would be the first rep for Micallef in this area, in this territory. It'd be really fun to build a brand. Like, yes, we built LFD, but it wasn't from ground up. This would have been a ground up situation, and it would have really given me a chance to really make a name for myself in the cigar industry if we can make moves and waves with this brand. So they reached out to me. It was actually the predecessor before Dan came on board who reached out to me and picked my brain on it. And then Al reached out to me, and the rest was history. I said, let's go ahead and make this thing happen. So I came on board.
And now that you're at Micallef, you have to look back and say, man, I made the right decision, because how innovative the Micallef brand has become. I mean, you guys are doing stuff that nobody has ever even thought about doing before. And to be the director of sales for them in a time when they are breaking boundaries and changing the game, I mean, that's got to be pretty exciting for you, being the director.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that I respected right off the bat, especially when Dan took over, the culture that he was trying to instill was different. It was different than anything I'd ever been involved with in this industry with my previous companies. It was a culture of, hey, we care what the sales reps have to say, and we care about the input. We want you guys to speak your mind, and we're actually going to take your thoughts and put them to work, like invest in them. And that was something that caught me off guard, but made me extremely excited about working for Micallef. Is I had a voice. This was before I was sales director. It felt like I had a voice. Like Dan would call me, even Al would call me and ask me questions about how to do certain things or how to attack a certain sales situation. And I'm like, I'm not used to that. I wasn't used to that at all, but it made me feel more important. and it made me feel more invested with them as a company. And then I started seeing some of these ideas come to fruition and certain twists on it, like taking my idea or Brandon Luna, who's our Texas sales rep's idea, and kind of molding it into something else that had never been done in this industry before. And that really was what sold me on the future. And then the last 6-7 months have been, has spoken for itself with different things that we've rolled out that I've never seen even attempted in this industry before from a manufacturer side of things. So it's really exciting to be a part of it. And I'm really excited to get this COVID stuff behind us so we can go back out on the road and exercise all this and really grow the brand, because I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, to me, it starts with you got to have a good product, and Micallef has a great product. They have a huge line that fits everyone. We know 4 to 42 price range. We know, you have the Sumatra, the Matafina, the Ligero, the Medallia. The list goes on and on. So, I mean, you guys provide a cigar for virtually everyone out there that smokes cigars. And so being the director of sales for a company that has a good, solid product line, and on top of that, it brings in the sales team and values what you guys think, and they put into effect what you guys want to do. And then they also are innovative, and they come out with all these new things that nobody else has ever done before. I mean, dude, you got to be kicking yourself going, hey, I couldn't be asking for anything better at this time.
No, I definitely would agree with that. The situation that's been provided to me has been a dream come true as far as being innovative, as far as being different, as far as, just motivating. It's very motivating to take these tools and put them to use and see the results that come from it. I mean, the list is long on the stuff that we have been able to achieve the last year, actually, that no one else has really done. I mean, it starts with the ambassador group too. Like, who else has a community like that? And we strive to make a personal impact. I strive to make a personal impact on these ambassadors that are consumers that many of them I might not ever really meet, or, I don't have a personal relationship with them, but I strive to make a personal impact with them and then see the results of that in their smoking, smoking lives, however they smoke or what, it's cool to be a part of that. It really is.
And we've said a lot of times on the show how amazing the ambassador program is. Because you have the ambassadors. Lots of companies have ambassadors, but you guys take it to a whole new level, because most ambassadors that I've seen, they take a picture or something with a product and, hey, I'm an ambassador. You guys have taken it to a whole new level, because you have a private Facebook group where 90% of the ambassadors engage. And we're talking about, I don't even know the newest number. I mean, how many ambassadors are you guys looking at right now? Like 4,000 or 5,000?
Total. Now, unfortunately, not all of them are on the Facebook group.
Sure, some people aren't on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a good amount of people out there that just don't use Facebook or would rather not play around on a Facebook group. But yeah, we're inching closer to 5,000 ambassadors that have signed up for us, and I would say 50% of them are on the Facebook group. And like you said, 90% of that 50%, you're talking over 2,000 ambassadors engage in some sort of way on the ambassador group on a monthly basis. So it's crazy to see that number, because that's just not normal. It's not normal in any industry, on any type of Facebook group. If you're getting that kind of engagement, it's bananas. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of that we all strive, not just me, not just Dan, not just Sam, the sales reps strive to create relationships with these guys on the ambassador group and listen to them and engage with them. And then it's fun to see the ambassadors start engaging with each other.
Right.
They become friends. They start meeting up for smokes. And it's a real family.
I talked to several of the ambassadors if not daily, at least weekly. I've made a lot of new friends in the ambassador group. So that's what's so impressive, is that you guys have actually built a community with the ambassadors, and that's super impressive. So let's talk about some of the things that Micallef has done since you've been on board as a director. I mean, just back in, I believe, December, you guys came out with the ultimate inventory, or maybe that was January. But I mean, what a awesome idea that is for the brick and mortars to be able to sell the entire line without having to carry the entire line, because we know shelf space is prime real estate. So if they can only carry, say, 15 facings or 20 facings, you guys actually give them the ability to carry every facing in every size.
Yeah. So the ultimate inventory actually rolled out at the beginning of this COVID stuff in March. It was an idea that we had late last year. We had discussed, hey, wouldn't this be cool? This would be a good opportunity to allow our most loyal customers the ability to sell anything from our portfolio, basically in their, whatever, all they got to do is take the money, send us the order, and then we drop ship it straight to the customer. So it was an idea that we came up with late last year. However, we weren't really going to bring it out or unveil it until later this year was the goal. But then because of COVID, we saw it as a perfect opportunity to roll it out right then and there, as shops were starting to close, only offer curbside, only offer delivery, whatever they were doing to coincide with the regulations in their given area. We felt like, okay, this has an awesome opportunity to work now, because these guys are closed. We're going to offer it to our most loyal customers, was the first goal. The ability to sell anything in our portfolio without actually bringing it into the store, because we felt like, cash flow, given all this situation, might be at risk. So we don't want them to slow down on selling Micallef cigars because they can't bring it in. How about we allow them to sell what is being sold to that consumer right then and there? We ship it. They don't have to bring it in. They just collect money, and then we'll bill them later. Yeah. And they could do it in their freaking underwear if they wanted to. And that's how we sold it to these guys.
And just so you know, that's how I'd want to do it.
In your underwear? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm curious to know how many of these orders have been placed by our retailers while they're in their underwear.
He's like, snap. Yeah,
but you could, as long as you had access to your POS system and a way to take money in, your credit card processing system, you could sell the products. And then on top of that, we have the ability, with our 90% engaging Micallef Ambassador Facebook audience, to go ahead on Facebook and advertise these given stores as being able to do this. And that has really helped push through a lot of the sales in that aspect. So we throw that in there in the ambassador group. Hey, these are our founding members. We started with 16 members, and then I think we're up to like 30 now.
Wow.
That you can call any of these guys, no matter where you are in the country, tell them, hey, I want this box of Micallef's. Whether they carry it or not, they can order it for you, and then we'll ship it straight to your door. So
and I love that, because this is a time, like you're saying, where a lot of shops were doing curbside only. People weren't coming in the shop to browse. And so, I mean, basically I could call ahead even and say, hey, I want to pick this up. Give me your credit card number. Boom. I'll have it drop shipped to you. You'll have it in a few days.
Yeah. Super easy. And I seriously want to know how many retailers ordered stuff in their underwear.
It would be me. I promise you. I could tell you that. So,
it would be, if there's a good amount of people that have done it, it could be a marketing opportunity there. I'm just saying. I doubt if they would go for it.
Well, what's that one commercial that says, so it's so easy you can do it in your underwear? You know that one, that jingle.
Yeah. And I think E-Trade did something like that with their situation too. You can make all this money in your underwear. But yeah, anyways, it'd be interesting to get that number. But the program has been fantastic. The retailers that really got on board with it. I actually had a retailer that created an online website during the COVID situation because they weren't able to service their customers. Their customers weren't allowed to come in the store. They could do a little bit of curbside, but they couldn't come in the store. So this guy had to evolve. And he said, okay, I'm going to create an online website, advertise it to all my guys in my newsletter, and he's got his own Facebook group as well. And I'm going to put my humidor inventory on it and allow any of my guys to buy from my inventory, 5 cigars at a time. Well, since we have this ultimate inventory program, he was able to put our entire portfolio by the box on this website. So anybody could order cigars through his website, and then he just has to take it from there and go over to our ultimate inventory website, place the order through there, take the money from his website, place it through there, and we ship it. And he has actually submitted several orders by doing that, just from going through that avenue of his own website. So if you go to his website, he's got his brands, and it's funny because you look at it and it's like, okay, there's 5 or 6 offerings from this brand. There's 5 or 6 offerings from this brand. There's 5 or 6 offerings from this brand. And then there's Micallef, and we have 100 offerings.
Right. So like, I was gonna say you have your own like 3 pages of cigar offerings. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Awesome. So let's talk about you guys came out with an unnamed cigar and allowed the ambassadors to actually come up with a name for a cigar. I mean, that's never been done, and I think that is super cool. I mean, talk about loyalty to not only a brand, but just a particular cigar. I mean, if you're an ambassador, you're going to want to smoke it, and I've smoked a lot of them, so I'll just tell you that. But I know guys that are so in love with the stick, they bought some when they first came out, and they won't smoke them. They're in the humidor just aging, and I don't do that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to smoke whatever, but I don't save cigars. But that's the impact that this cigar has had on the ambassadors, is that a lot of guys are putting these up because that's how special they are to the ambassador organization or the community.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said you're putting some away. When we do release them, which we're aiming at July, they're going to have a different band on them. So anything that you already have has that gold band on it. It'll become a collector item.
Right,
so
right.
So
and that's why people are putting them away. I just kept the bands.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I want to discuss a little backstory on something that we did earlier this year before we released what is now called the Micallef. And what we did earlier this year is we released a letter of Micallef's strategy for 2020, and we released it in January. And part of that letter was we were going to commit to our brick and mortars on a more personal level, our business. Like, we were going to commit to these guys. We're going to promise that we're going to do things that are going to be revolved around you and grow our business through the brick and mortars instead of growing it through other avenues like catalogs or online websites or that kind of thing. So part of that was the first promise that we kind of fulfilled was the Micallef to be named Maduro. And how we did that is we had this cigar, and we had 2 different strategies with this cigar. The first strategy was, like you said, we were going to allow the ambassadors to name it. So what that does is it gives the ambassadors a sense of ownership on this given cigar from our brand, okay? So they have this ownership feeling, which means that they want it. They want to buy it. They want to smoke it. They want more of. They want as many as they can get because it's their cigar. The other strategy was with this cigar is we made it very price friendly to the retailers to where they could make a decent amount of money on this cigar in a margin sense. So that was the other fold of that. So we're like, okay, we're going to offer you retailers this cigar, this new cigar, Maduro cigar, at a great price point, but you can make a great amount of money off of it. And on top of that, we're going to have this cigar named by our ambassadors. So what that does is that allows 2 different attractions to it. So the consumers in the ambassador group want it because they have the ownership on it. The retailers want it because they can make some extra money off of it, and the two kind of will work off of each other.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when we first came out with that, it was 500 bundles is what we started with. And we all thought, hey, 500 bundles will allow the ambassadors 2 months to vote on a name, and we'll pick a name, we'll box it, we'll band it, we'll re-release it. We're like, 500 bundles, that'll last us a month, 6 weeks, given the kind of like sales trends that we're used to at Micallef Cigars. No. It lasted 48 hours.
No way.
Before it sold out. 48 hours from when we announced it to the ambassador group and allowed sales to be taken in on it to when we sold out. It was a crazy week. All of them were accounted for just like that. None of us saw that coming. I figured we'd sell it quickly, but none of us saw that it would sell that quickly. And it's crazy because ambassadors started calling up stores and saying, hey, make sure you order this because I want some. I want a bundle. And stores were then calling their reps and saying, hey, you know, I have this ambassador asking for this. Then the rep would say, hey, well, this favors you too with this, you know, money you're going to be making off of it. How many do you want? They're like, oh, really? You know, that sounds like a great idea. Give me like 6 bundles, you know. And it was a whirlwind situation, like a snowball effect. More and more people heard about it. In just 48 hours, we were sold out. And then we had
crazy.
several retailers after the fact that said, hey, do you have any more? No, we're all out. Oh, darn. So then what we did, which is even crazier, Rob, is we started a pre-order system. This cigar came out the last week of February. It was sold out by March 1st. Okay. We told everybody we wouldn't have this cigar ready until more than likely mid to late July. Okay. So you're talking 4 months minimum between when we're going to start taking pre-orders on it to when we're actually going to have it. We started getting pre-orders from day one that we offered the pre-order. They put 5 on my account, put 10 on my account. Hey, guys, put 20 on their accounts. Because they just, that's what's crazy to me. It's like, the cigar's not coming out for 4 months and you want to make sure that you get 20 of them? Like, okay, we'll put you down. Nice. You know, you'll get first come, first serve. But we've sold just as many that way as we did in the first 48 hours when we actually had a physical cigar to ship to somebody.
Wow. That's crazy, man. And I mean, it comes down to, it's a great product. You have a great ambassador program and it benefits the brick and mortar. So, I mean, basically you guys are encompassing the whole cigar community and that's what's making it work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was part of our strategy letter, was to invest more time, effort, and resources into building our brick and mortar relationships and partnerships. And that's how we want to grow our brand. And a cigar like that really enables us to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, just the fact that you guys are building a trust between you guys and the brick and mortars is impressive, because you look around and I mean, some of the big names out there, I'm not trying to knock on anybody else out there, but I see cigar companies come into brick and mortars and they say, okay, if you want to carry my cigars, you got to have them right here where people first walk in and they have the displays. And it's like, we want you to do it our way or you can't carry our cigars. But then on the flip side of that, you look online and they're selling those same cigars at a huge discount. And it's like, okay, you want to use my prime real estate in my humidor, but you're also offering people discount cigars that I carry on all these websites. I mean, that doesn't seem like a good relationship to me. And the way you guys are doing it is the complete opposite.
Yeah, it sounds like a backstabbing situation there.
Yeah, it really does, man. I mean, and you know what really frustrates me is these cigar reps come into a shop and they literally say, this is where our cigars have to be. And they demand the prime real estate. But then on the flip side, like you said, they're stabbing those guys in the back because the same exact cigars that are on your prime real estate are also on, say, Cigar International at, what, 40% off? I mean, that's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, we don't want to build our brand that way. I mean, you could, if CI came to us tomorrow and said, here's $100,000 if you give us some sort of discount or whatever, we would say no. Like it's not how we want to build our brand. We want to build our brand with the brick and mortars and make it fair to them because they are the backbone of this industry. And, I don't want to say anything negative about CI because they do what they do extremely well, and that is their focus and their mission. But at Micallef Cigars, we just want to do it differently. We want to do it the other way. So.
And I just named them because they're the ones that everybody knows. But, I mean, there's several out there that are basically the same model as what they do. They're just probably the most well-known. But shifting gears here, let's talk a minute about the Phoenix program that you guys just rolled out and how that's going to be impacting the brick and mortars as well.
So the Phoenix program is another kind of fulfillment of the promise that we made on our open letter earlier this year, and that was to get behind the brick and mortars. So the Phoenix program, it's only available to brick and mortar operations. B, it's a situation that it's a program that allows the retailer to, no pun intended, rise from the ashes of what has happened the last 2 months with COVID. The COVID situation has really put a damper on everybody's business. They were forced to do curbside delivery, just online, or even forced to close. So a lot of guys were hurting financially, and then they didn't want to invest into restocking at the time until they knew what was going to happen. So we realized that it affected you guys. It affected us too. So we're going to come out with this program that's going to allow you as a brick and mortar to replenish your stock and expand on Micallef and have several opportunities to do it at a great rate that would be locked in depending on which avenue you go with. And we can build back our business together over the rest of the year. And that was the whole premise behind it. It was a way that we can get more recognition out there, more representation, but also allow our brick and mortar partners to thrive by taking advantage of it. And it's still in the early stages. We're seeing some benefits of it, but as people get back to going at it, it's going to be a great opportunity for both parties involved.
Well, give us a little look behind the scenes at Micallef. So let's just talk about the Phoenix in particular. How did that come about? I mean, was that like you called up Dan and said, hey, man, I got a great idea? Or was it a collaborative discussion? Or
I'm not that smart.
I mean, do you guys like sit around the table or I guess on conference calls and like just throw out ideas and, it kind of like is one person's idea meshed with another person's idea? Or do y'all have like this mad scientist genius that's down in the basement of the humidor that's like telling y'all what to do?
Yeah, well, that mad scientist is Tiger King.
Tiger Thompson.
Tiger Thompson. It was a collaborative effort. We, like everybody else in the summer, we all offer some sort of deal, usually revolved around the PCA trade show. And we had this idea for what we were going to do this year to compete with the sales from last year at the trade show. And we put it on paper between Dan, Amanda, myself, and Sam, pretty much just molded it into what is now the Phoenix program. And we wanted to offer it sooner than the trade show because of what has been going on with COVID. And we had a feeling that the trade show might actually be canceled, and it was, but that wasn't a driving force behind, doing this or why we did it or when we did it. But it was more of, okay, this is our plan of what we want to do this year. But this COVID situation actually presents an opportunity to make it more beneficial for both party involved. And it allows us to do it at an earlier date as people are starting to reopen. So there's no mad scientists stuck in the bottom of any humidor that we own, at least that I don't know of. It was a collaborative effort, but amongst all the leadership team. And that's what's so great about the team that I'm involved with right now is we all work collaboratively on everything. Like every idea that comes up, it's like, hey, I got this idea. What do you think? So we throw it on the table, and then the four of us will go ahead and mold it into something that really works.
And I'll tell you, I've said this many times that Al Micallef has assembled what I consider to be a dream team to be behind the Micallef cigar brand. I mean, you look at yourself, the experience that you bring to the table, not just in cigars, but now we know also your hospitality, which gives you a sense of how to treat customers. And then you bring in Sam, which has new young ideas. You've got Dan with his experience, with the Tigers. And then you have Amanda who has amazing. All right. Just joking about the Tigers. But
experience with the Tigers.
With Dan's experience with Microsoft and Amanda, I mean, what she did while she was out in California was amazing. So, I mean, bringing you four together and all your very different backgrounds and coming up with ideas together, man, I think it is just amazing what you guys are doing. And I'll tell you this, I've said it many times before, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do next, because y'all just keep completely changing the game.
Yeah, completely coming up with new stuff. Yeah, it's great because, like you said, all four of us have different experiences and different backgrounds, and you put it all together and it just sticks like glue, and then we can come up with great ideas like the Phoenix or Ultimate Inventory or the A cigar, or even all the content we were providing during COVID.
Well, I mean, look at this. If you look at other cigar companies, I mean, I can't specifically say, but a lot of cigar companies are bringing in cigar guys with lots of experience, and that's great. But you guys have brought in people with all different backgrounds to work together that all love and enjoy cigars, but that's not the prime background for each one of you. You know what I mean? You guys have assembled a team with completely different backgrounds, and I think that's something that makes Micallef unique and special.
Oh yeah, I would completely agree. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better than you did. Like you said, Dan coming with his Microsoft exec background, Amanda with her marketing background, me, I bring the most cigar experience to the leadership team, but I have that hospitality background, which is how I've molded how I treat my customers and how I treat retailers and how I treat my teammates. That's just been ingrained in me from school and 10 years working with Hilton. And you got Sam, who brings that fresh point of view. He kind of brings the ideas to the table to appeal to the new smokers that are out there. Because, I mean, the industry is gaining cigar smokers every day. And he's going to bring what, the millennials or 20-year-olds are thinking when they look at a cigar company, and how they become a fan of a certain brand or how they're purchasing their cigars. So you got all four of those together, and you just, like you said, we've created a dream team that we feel like we can take Micallef cigars anywhere that we want to. And it's very comforting to know that. And we were starting to really gain momentum beginning this year with the A and Ultimate Inventory, and then the COVID thing happened and everything kind of had to slow down a little bit. But now I'm super excited to get back out there. We're all going to be getting back out on the road here soon.
Speaking of the COVID coming in, I mean, that's one of the things that I love about Micallef is COVID came in and everybody just kind of started scrambling, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You guys didn't do that. You guys already had plans in place that you were able to accelerate the release that worked perfectly with COVID. And then once you got into the next stage, you came out with another program, Phoenix, that actually helped the brick and mortars during this time. So, I mean, man, I am super impressed with the team. And I always say on the show, we love Micallef from the top all the way to the bottom, because at the top you have Al Micallef, which I'm going to ask you here shortly what it's like working for Al. But, you know, I've been around Al enough to know what kind of person he is. And he's one of those guys that's been very successful in business because he has a standard that he adheres to, which is the top of the line, the best. He's put together a team that no other cigar company would have. And then he's got the best blenders and rollers in the business. He self-tests every cigar for the draw. I mean, dude, I'm going to quit bragging on you guys. I mean, I sound like a Foreman fan, but I mean, what you guys do is just unbelievable when it comes to the cigar industry. So hats off to you and your whole team, man.
Yeah, Al Micallef he's for lack of a better way to say it, a perfectionist. He's not going to put out a product unless it meets his standards, and they're pretty freaking high standards.
And think about it. His other business is always been like, you know, what, airplane parts and injection molding,
and silicone,
where the tolerance for mistakes is like measured in millions. And so talk about a level of detail that he has brought to the cigar industry. It's just crazy.
Well, it was interesting because it's kind of like that partnership. We trusted the Gomez Sanchez family and their products. However, the Gomez Sanchez family, before Micallef, didn't have much representation in America with their product. So they didn't have that well-oiled machine to really get out there without a little bit of help. So Al, in his background, like what you're saying, his rubber silicone business, he's got several other businesses that he's been a part of, brought the systems that he used there, combined it with the product of Gomez Sanchez, which is a fantastic product, molded it together in our factory that we opened in Esteli, and now it's just it's a healthy system. He has really enabled them to continue to make products out and get them out into the market, and it's fantastic. And that's something that we felt like was a great opportunity. If we can take his background and his business acumen and how he's put businesses together and apply it here with the right people in place, like the team that we have, I said earlier, the sky's the limit on what we can do, and we're not going anywhere. You know, unfortunately, there was, you know, a negative image in the beginning that, you know, one thing I want to say about Al is there was a negative image in the beginning that some people put out there that said, hey, Al Micallef is just this rich hobbyist who wanted to create his own cigar company.
And I heard that same rumor.
Make money off of it.
Yeah. And in fact, I was at a lounge one day talking about the Micallef line, and the owner of the shop was like, yeah, I heard this and I heard that. And I was like, oh, dude, I heard the same rumor, and that is all bullshit. I was like, I've met Al, I've smoked his cigars, I've met his team, and they could not be more in tune with the cigar industry than someone who's been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah, and I think it's just because we had we didn't have the team that we have now that can go out there and portray that message. You know, one thing that impressed me about Al, I'll say it myself, when I first got into working for Micallef, you know, I had heard that negative image, that negative condensation about the brand, this and that. I knew Al, I knew how successful he had been with other businesses, so I respected that, and I trusted that he's going to take this and turn it into something successful like everything else that he's pretty much done in his life. The first time that I traveled with Al, listening to him talk about the tobacco and listening to him talk about the Gomez Sanchez family and the processes we have, and he really gets it. Like, he understands it. Like, he started this partnership with the Gomez Sanchez family, and it wasn't like he just started it and was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. You guys do your own thing. No, he learned the craft and how it actually works by going down to Nicaragua, working with the Gomez Sanchez family, learning about the tobacco that we're using. He can talk about it. He can sit in a store and go into the blends. And that really impressed me, considering he doesn't have a massive tobacco background like some of these legacy brands out there. The fact that he, in the beginning, engulfed himself and entrenched himself with all this information and really took the time to understand it is really setting us up for success. And that's why, I mean, we want to get Al out there into the market. We want to get him in front of these stores. We want to change that image that some of these retailers have of Micallef, because it couldn't be further from the truth. It's not just some rich guy that wants to profit off of hobby that he has. No, he really cares, and he really cares about the Gomez Sanchez family, which a lot of people don't even know much about them. They bring close to 100 years worth of cigar experience to this brand, to this market that we have, to our consumers. And it's unfortunate that in the beginning it wasn't viewed that way, but I really think we're starting to turn the tide on that and helping these guys understand that, like, no, we're about helping you as brick and mortars, and we're about creating a fantastic product that you can get behind with your consumers. And this is what we bring to the table. We bring you the ambassador group. We bring you Ultimate Inventory. We bring you Phoenix. We bring you the ability to do events, and we bring you a solid sales team. We bring you this back. We bring you all of this. It's all about now turning that narrative to, hey, you know, these guys really know what the heck they're doing, and let's get behind them. And we're slowly starting to do that, and I'm so excited to see it just continue in that direction.
Yeah, and I will second that and say, you know, whenever I started Cigar Talk back in 2018, I didn't know who Micallef Cigars was. I'd never heard of them. They were actually in our shop. I had never smoked them. I came out and I did a show at the headquarters, and I went back and started smoking the cigars, and like within weeks, it was my go-to cigar. And I didn't have a sponsorship with Micallef at that time, but I pursued Micallef as a sponsor because I love the organization and I love the cigars. I mean, the thing about Cigar Talk is we don't do sponsorships with companies that we don't believe in. And I'll say this, Micallef didn't pursue me as much as I pursued them. So that's a testament to the company itself. And so whenever I hear anyone say anything that is not true about Micallef, I'll be the first one to call bullshit.
Yeah. And we love having you as a partner too, Rob.
Hey, well, I appreciate that.
Until we find someone better, we're happy with you.
Well, that won't take long.
The more Tiger Thompson comments you make, the quicker we might move.
The rope is getting short. Hey, well, I tell you what's funny. You didn't see. Well, you may have saw. Did you see the picture I did of Dan?
Yes, I did see that. Yes,
so
on the Micallef Live.
Yeah, so he asked me to send him a copy of that so he could show his wife, and I actually went back and redid a much better version. So I'll have to share that with you later. But
feel free to put it on the ambassador group, Rob.
I don't know if I'm that brave.
Yeah, it might get taken down pretty quickly.
Yeah, so no, but so let me ask you this: is without you giving any corporate secrets away, I mean, I can only imagine that you guys are constantly working on what we're going to do next. But how do you balance what we're going to do next with rolling out a new program? So
I'm not understanding completely the question. How do you
balance? I mean, you guys are always coming out with new projects or new programs. So I know you guys are constantly working on even what's coming out next, but you also have to spend time of actually execution of the program that you just released.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes in between, that goes up to like the dream team that we have put together. We have to be able to, we just unveiled this Phoenix program, which is going to be running basically through the rest of the year. So we can't lose focus as a team. And it's my job to make sure that my sales staff doesn't lose focus of that if we do come out with another program or another situation. And another thing that, we're looking to do, like our next situation that we're looking to do is coming out with a tasting passport. And honestly, that's going to piggyback off of the Phoenix program, because you got the Phoenix program, which allows retailers to expand their shelf presence of Micallef. Well, we're going to come out with this tasting program, and it's going to allow you as a retailer to get your consumers to buy the product, because they're going to want to taste through it to fill their little passport out so that they can win something. So that is the next step there on working with the Phoenix program. So it'll work together. But as far as a new program that we're going to have balance, we're focused right now currently on making sure the Phoenix program works for our brick and mortars and standing behind strategy in the open letter that we put out this January. Yeah. So it's always a challenge. You always need to be, ahead of the curve. That's what we pride ourselves on. It's always a challenge to make sure that you do it properly and balance it right. But I mean, that's what I get paid to do. That's what we all get, the dream team gets paid to do. So I hope that somewhat answers your question.
Yeah, it really does. And so, and I love the idea of the tasting passport. I think that could be something really cool. I'll tell you what, last year I was planning a West Texas cigar festival, and that ended up getting pushed back. I don't know if it'll be next year, the next year, or the next year. I don't know, but that's something that I would like to do eventually. But one of the things that we were going to do on that was actually do a passport for the event. Instead of doing tickets or whatever, each cigar manufacturer would be recognized by a page in the passport book. And so I love that idea, and I think it'll be a home run as well. I haven't seen anything that you guys have done that have not been, a home run.
Yeah, it'll be cool, because how it's going to work is we're going to have a different page for each blend that we have, and the consumer will be putting the bands on the page, and the page is actually going to have the blend description and a little note section that they could write a note on, tasting notes or whatever that they got while they smoked that cigar. And when it's completed, you're going to have 17 pages of bands, if not more. We might expand on certain.
Is that including
sizes,
the A?
but we have, including the A. So we're up to 17 blends, and you're going to be it's going to be really cool to see all the filled out passports. And then we're going to have, contests and raffles and all sorts of stuff. You complete your passport. One thing that we're thinking about doing is scheduling some sort of lunch with Al Micallef and one of the winners. That would be kind of cool. He'll fly to that area of the country and have lunch with an ambassador or awesome. Consumer. I mean, how cool is that?
What a treat. And whoever wins that, I mean, I've had lunch with Al before, and it's an experience. I mean, I felt so privileged and honored to sit with this guy that has the experience he has and he's just a down-to-earth guy too. I mean, you think that you meet this guy that has been so successful throughout his life running different companies. He's probably going to be like, kind of like, hard to talk to. Man, Al is the most down-to-earth guy, just talks to you and enjoys your company as much as you're enjoying his. I mean, he was one of the main reasons that I was completely sold on Micallef before I was bought in on all the other aspects.
Yeah, he impressed me too when he traveled with me that first time, and how, like you said, how down-to-earth he is, how when he goes into a cigar shop, he wants to learn more about the cigar shop owner, about his business. I mean, he truly cares about, what his customers are doing.
Right.
and how they run their business. And I mean, it just helps him learn how to appeal to these guys better as well as we grow. But he's super down to earth. He's not pompous. That's a whole nother thing too, like that negative condensation that kind of was put out in Micallef in the beginning. It's like you said, like once you get to know the guy, it's garbage. It really is.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's funny because whenever I first started doing this, I had heard, not so much about the Micallef cigar line, but like, the Silver Leaf and things like that, because I would tour around a bunch of different shops in the Fort Worth area. And so that's first how I learned about Micallef in the first place, but it really didn't stick because I was just like, whatever. But then whenever I actually got a chance to experience the Micallef line and talk to Al personally, I was like, wow, this is something that I'm interested in. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what you guys do next. And so what would you like to tell everybody before we go? I've got another meeting here shortly. So before we go, what would you like to tell everybody about Micallef or yourself or Tiger Thompson?
Not going into Tiger King Thompson. No, it's just, Rob, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this with me. I'm honored to be on your show. We've been talking about it for a while. I'm glad that we were able to finally make it happen. Micallef is committed. Like I said, we're committed to building with the brick and mortars, with the ambassador group. If anybody that's listening is not an ambassador, feel free to go to micallefcigars.com and sign up to be a brand ambassador. And then we'll get you on the Facebook page. We'll get you a certificate and a coin. And then you can really see the community that we have. It's like I said, it's like being part of a family, less than just a Facebook group. It's a family. We all care about each other. We all build relationships together. We all put our personal touches on it. It's really something special. You can see all the content that we've done during the COVID situation with our interviews, plenty of information out there where you can get to know the rep that is in your given area. It's all there for you. It's a wonderful resource. You get first dibs on any information that Micallef is doing, any new cigars, any new programs. We always make sure our ambassadors know first before we tell the rest of the market, because that's the benefit of being an ambassador. We want you to be informed when you guys go out there and see your stores. You kind of already know what's going on in the world of Micallef, so that's great. It kind of gives you a sense of like ownership. There's that ownership thing again. So I'm just excited as we get back on the road. June is going to be a good month for us because things are starting to reopen. We really have the opportunity to get out there and put forward our programs that we have in person in front of these guys and really start to, grow as a brand and turn the narrative around on Micallef cigars. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about my team that we've put together on the road. They're going to take care of our brick and mortars to their best of their abilities, and you'll really get to see the direction that we're headed in. We're not a fly by night. We're here to stay, and we're here to make quality cigars, and we're here to help the industry thrive. That's our goal.
Definitely not a fly by night. You guys are making a huge impact in the cigar community, and I can't wait. I mean, it's just like I get to see this company grow and expand and become a cornerstone of the industry. So, I mean, I'm super impressed, and I love watching to see what you guys do. I'll also put a link down below this video so you can go straight to the Micallef ambassador site, and you can sign up if you're not an ambassador. I've been an ambassador since March of 2019. My number is 298. You want to go tell everybody what your number is?
33.
33. Which, by the way,
that was just handed to me, honestly. It was just handed to me. I didn't even pick it. It was just given to me. 33.
So the first time, just so everybody knows, the first time I ever met Andy, I guessed his number, and I guessed 32. So I was pretty close.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. You had to have some sort of intel that was a low 30s number.
I'm a carnival worker. You know, I can guess people's numbers and weights and age. So, all right, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Man, I love what you guys do. I mean, I probably people get tired of me talking about how much I love the Micallef family, but it's, you know, based on what you guys do. It's not based on anything other than the family that you created and the products that you create. And like we say, from the top down, I'm impressed.
So thank you for your support, Rob.
Oh, thank you guys. Hey, and we'll be talking soon. And let me know when you're going to be in Texas.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll let you know. We'll have a cigar together.
Absolutely. And a drink as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That goes without saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andy. Well, thanks so much, man, and good luck with getting the wheels rolling and your travel coming up. Stay safe and keep smoking, brother.
Appreciate it, Rob.
Thank you.